Have you ever stared at a piece of paper that felt heavier than a tombstone? I was standing in our kitchen, the one with the granite countertops she just had to have, and in my hand was a receipt from the Hotel Palomar in downtown Chicago. It was for a deluxe king suite, 2 nights. The problem was, I hadn't been to the Palomar in over a year. My wife Sarah was supposedly at a marketing conference in Schaumburg. The date on the receipt was from last weekend. It was a tiny, insignificant slip of thermal paper. But it was the first crack in the dam, and I could already hear the floodwaters roaring. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, my world had been Sarah. I loved the way she'd steal the covers, the way her nose would crinkle when she laughed, the way she'd lean her head on my shoulder while we watched movies. We were a team, or so I thought. The receipt was the first clue, but looking back, the signs had been there for months. The late nights at the office, the phone that was suddenly always angled away from me, the new, almost frantic energy she had. She started going to the gym, buying expensive lingerie she never wore for me, and talking incessantly about a new colleague, Mark. "He's just so brilliant," she'd say. "A real visionary." I was a fool. I was the supportive husband, proud of her career, never suspecting the vision she was sharing with Mark was of a life without me. The humiliation was a slow burn. It started with that receipt. Put it back in her purse, a silent ticking bomb. I needed more than a hunch. I needed proof. My heart had been ripped out, but my brain was kicking into a cold, calculating gear I didn't know I possessed. I started paying attention. I noticed the second phone, a cheap prepaid burner she kept tucked in her gym bag. I saw the texts. "Last weekend was incredible," one from Mark Reed. "Can't stop thinking about you." Sarah's reply, "He has no idea. He's too trusting." That one word, trusting, twisted in my gut like a knife. She saw my love not as a virtue, but as a weakness to be exploited. She became colder, more distant. When I'd try to get close, she'd flinch. "I'm just so stressed with work, honey," she'd sigh, the lie rolling off her tongue with practiced ease. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their bubble of arrogance and deceit, laughing at the clueless husband at home.
Ow.
The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I came home early, wanting to surprise her. I found her in our bedroom, on the phone, her back to the door. Voice was low, intimate, a voice I hadn't heard directed at me in years. "I love you too," she whispered. "I'll tell him soon, I promise. We'll have it all." I backed away silently, the floorboards not making a sound. Got it. But inside me, a skyscraper was collapsing. I drove to the shore of Lake Michigan, the cold Chicago wind whipping off the water, and I just sat there in my car, the engine off as the city lights blurred into a meaningless smear of color. The man who loved his wife was gone. In his place was something else. Something patient, something methodical, something utterly ruthless. My revenge began not with a bang, but with a whisper. I hired the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a shark named Mr. Harrison. I showed him everything: the receipt, photos of the texts, phone records I'd quietly pulled. We found out Mark was not just her colleague. He was her direct superior, a violation of their company's HR policy. We also discovered they'd been using company funds for their trysts, booking client dinners at places like Alinea and billing them to the corporate card. They weren't just cheating on me, they were stealing. Opened a new bank account and piece by piece started moving my assets. I documented every cruel text, every dismissive comment, every lie. Was building a fortress of evidence, brick by painful brick. The trap was set for our anniversary dinner. Sarah, ever the performer, had booked a table at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street. She was radiant, talking about our future, about a trip to Italy she wanted to take. She had no idea it was an execution. As the waiter brought our champagne, a man in a cheap suit walked up to our table. "Sarah Morgan?" he asked. She nodded, annoyed at the interruption. He dropped a thick manila envelope on the table. "You've been served." Her face went white. At the same moment, across town, another process server was walking into Mark's office, in the middle of a team meeting, and doing the exact same thing. But that was just the beginning. The next morning, An anonymous email sent from a Proton Mail account I'd created at a public library landed in the inbox of their company's CEO and the entire HR department. It contained a detailed, irrefutable timeline of their affair, complete with scans of the hotel receipts, the romantic dinner bills charged to the company, and a log of their text messages. It highlighted the flagrant breach of conduct and the embezzlement. By noon, they were both suspended. By the end of the week, they were fired. Their professional reputations, meticulously built over years, were incinerated in a single morning. The divorce was brutal and swift. With the evidence I had, the prenup held, but the infidelity and embezzlement claims I filed left her with nothing. The court awarded me the house, the savings, everything we had built. She was left with her lies and a mountain of legal debt. The last I heard, she and Mark had broken up under the strain of it all. She was working as a waitress in a diner out in the suburbs, the fire in her eyes replaced by a dull, vacant exhaustion. Sometimes, late at night, I walk through the quiet house. I stand by the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline, the same lights that once seemed so blurry and broken. Everything is still. Everything is in its place. I got my justice, but I learned that some victories feel exactly like a loss.